Man, what y'all want me to say? Man, the Cowboys beat the shit out the Commanders. They fucked us up, bro. They really did. It's not even shocking because of all the injuries that we came into the game with. You know what I mean? Uh, a lot of excuses can be made. A lot of things can be said about that game, how it was officiated. You know what I mean? Like Cliff Kingsbury and his play call, and many of which I'm going to get into in this episode. I'm not even going to be negative in any regard, although I have every inkling to be. But man, I told you guys, I'm 10 toes down as a Commanders fan. I am 10 toes down as a Commanders fan. I will not relent. Win, lose, or draw, I would try to be as objective as possible. I would try to be honest in my opinions and my takes. But 3-4, I mean, that was the chief expectation coming into the game, hoping that we could get, a win out of a very bleak looking situation. 3-4 is not the end of the world. I'm going to tell you exactly why. Let's talk about it. Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic, and I want to welcome you to my channel, Opinion Stated, where I give unfiltered, opinionated sports takes. Let's go. Yo, what's good, everybody? My name is Cosmic. I want to welcome you back to my channel, Opinion Stated. And I've got a decent episode planned for you. I'm not even going to be before you long. I just have to get this off my chest. Man, we lost yesterday. We lost to our division rival, to our league rival, the Dallas Cowboys, man, which sucks more than anything else. Did the loss hurt? To a degree. You know what I mean? Was it a devastating loss? Not really. You know what I mean? The blowout didn't help, but not debilitating in any way. Did it make me sad, I guess? You know what I mean? Like the loss itself. But the how we lost, man, is really annoying to me, I guess I'll say. But I didn't see anything in this game that surprised me. You know what I mean? Not one bit. And so the loss doesn't hurt as much as that loss prior to the Chicago Bears, but a loss is a loss nonetheless. I've got a lot of information I'm going to get into here in this episode, but before I do that, do me a huge favor, like the video. Liking the video helps us cruise along Algorithm Avenue, helps us get into the presence of individuals just like yourself who might be interested in this kind of content. Also, subscribe to the channel. Clicking the notification bell helps you to be notified as to when my newest episodes are uploaded, just like this one. And without further ado, I am diving directly into the episode. I'm going to entitle it Commanders versus Cowboys. Crushing loss. Crushing loss. Oh man, what can I say about that game that if you saw the game, you know what I mean, you are already feeling on your own. So like I said, man, it was just it was a game where as a fan you could be hopeful that we'll pull out a win, you know what I mean, that we'll be able to squeak out a victory, especially having, coughed up a victory that we definitely should have had a week prior, but this starts a 2-game skid or keeps us on a 2-game skid at this point, which is not a good thing in terms of record, because I feel like, obviously every win is important, you know what I'm saying? So would have been better to get a victory there, but it's not the end of the world that we did not get a victory. The Cowboys would destroy us yesterday, 44-22. Fuck the refs because, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not even upset about the pass interference call that was made on us on Marshawn. Marshawn's getting cooked all season long and showing up in spots, you know what I mean? Like, but it's not even that pass interference call. It's how there was a pass interference call on our side that wasn't called that would have put us in the red zone to score as well, man. So those kind of momentum things would have at least helped us to keep the game competitive and help to keep it a little bit closer. And, obviously it would have done a whole lot, man, for the team's, confidence. To no telling what may have happened on the ensuing drives, you know what I mean, after a 7-point score. But it is what it is, man. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to get into a bit of a game recap here. Like I said, man, I'm not going to hold you guys long, just, blah, 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 and for no reason. The game was what it was. Um, so I'm going to get into actually the game plan for this episode so that you guys have an idea of where we're going. First quarter, I'm going to do a game recap. Second quarter, we're going to talk game stats. Third quarter, I'm going to get into the remaining schedule for the season. And then in the fourth quarter of the episode, I'm going to have a bit of a tough talk. And I'm going to get out of your hair for the day. So starting right off top, man, with this game recap, I took an article from commanders.com that I kind of want to jump into here really quickly. Actually, let me do something else for you guys. That this may be kind of considered a bit of conspiracy, but before I get into this recap, I want to mention that in the last episode, I shared an article from sportsillustrated.com. And in this article, I'm going to put it right here on screen so you can see it. In this article, I wasn't sure if it was a typo, you know what I mean? Or if Sports Illustrated, the writer at Sports Illustrated responsible for this article on Saturday, actually leaked the script ahead of game, because you can see, he mentions the Commanders already being depleted. We're going to have to, protect Mariota against Dallas's aggressive pass rush. And I'm like, Mariota? I didn't read this prior to that or read it thoroughly prior to that episode. But in that episode, I was just like, what do you mean? What do you mean, Mariota? What are they saying? I'm like, scratch that. Well, unless they're telling us off top, man, the script is that Jaden's going to get hurt in this game. Now, I'm not saying, because I witnessed the injury, that it was a scripted injury. You know what I'm saying? But either that writer's psychic, or, man, that was a script. I'll let you determine it. But I did want to show that really quickly. Getting back to this article from commanders.com. And, man, this article was penned today, I believe it was, so it's fresh. But instant analysis. Commanders dropped 2, 3, and 4 with 44-22 loss to the Cowboys. It seemed like the Washington Commanders had a shot to hang with the Dallas Cowboys despite being severely limited on offense, and then things turned on a dime. There are a few moments to point to. As a possible starting point for the downslide, perhaps it was the Cowboys scoring in 35 seconds before the end of the first half, thanks in part to a 44-yard catch by George Pickens and a 33-yard run by Javonte Williams. It's also possible it started at the Commanders' opening drive of the third quarter when Jaden Daniels was injured on a sack fumble that was picked up by the Cowboys. Regardless of when things started to turn ugly for the Commanders, the reality is that Washington quickly went from being competitive to finding themselves in a 26-point hole and an eventual 44-22 loss. Injuries, penalties. Yo, how many episodes do I have to make where I just talk about these penalties, man? Penalty, bro. Penalty prevention is discipline, bro. It's just this lack of discipline is crazy, bro. But injuries, penalties, and a humming Cowboys team all contributed to the loss, which dropped Washington to 3 and 4. And with 3 games against the league's top teams up next, the Commanders head back to Virginia with uncertainty on multiple fronts. The only time I'm going to say this, I'm sure the homie's going to want to keep this for his records, you know what I mean? He may clip it and just keep it in his phone as a reminder. My homie Tonio. Shout out to Tonio. He's a Cowboys fan. And the Cowboys look good, man. You know what I mean? Dak's playing the best football, rather. I'm sorry, got basketball on the brain because the season starts tomorrow. But Dak's playing the best football, some of the best football I've ever seen him play. You know what I mean? He's playing remarkable, man. So I'll just leave it at that. Cowboys definitely contributed on their own to our loss yesterday. We didn't just give them the game. You know, they took it. Although the loss is disheartening for a Commanders team that entered the season with so much promise, the bigger story of the day involves Daniels, who suffered a hamstring injury in the third quarter. Daniels went to the medical tent before jogging to the locker room and was later ruled out for the rest of the game. Daniels is scheduled to have an MRI Monday, that is today. Not sure of the results, or up to the point that I recorded this episode before producing it online, I hadn't heard the results of the MRI. I don't even think that the results are released the day of anyway, so we probably won't hear anything about Jaden's availability, the severity until Wednesday's practice. So I'm just kind of looking forward to that until the margin of error was already small for the Commanders heading into Sunday's game, with Terry McLaurin already ruled out and Noah Brown placed on the reserve or injured list. Wideout Deebo Samuel was downgraded to out on Saturday. The decision left the Commanders with the likes of Luke McCaffrey, rookie Jalen Lane, and Chris Moore as their top receivers. As a result, Washington needed a standout game from Daniels and the weapons left at his disposal. And while there were some positive moments, the unit never gained enough consistency to match the Cowboys' number one ranked offense blow for blow. Drops and errant throws plagued the Commanders early, forcing another slow start. The Commanders have now started games with either a punt or turnover in 7 games. I'll let that go. I was just going to say, I can't let it go. I can't let that go. Before we move on to the rest of this article. Bro, if Cliff Kingsbury doesn't get his shit together, like literally every single drive started, every single possession started with a run. And it's like, come on, bro. Like you can't go run pass. It's so predictable. I started calling the runs out from the couch. I'm like, come on, bro. Like you gotta mix this shit up. In the second half, he got a little more liberal. And I'm just like, okay, finally. We don't open the possession with a fucking run. Or we're not running specifically on first down. Like that was killing me, bro. Why are we continuing to run the ball on first down? It becomes so obvious that it's easy if I can call it out from the couch. Imagine what the defensive coordinator's doing. Imagine what the DBs are doing. You know what I'm saying? We understood that they were going into a man coverage, situation for them where they run more zone than we run on the season. Statistically, they do. You know what I'm saying? But because there's no threat of Deebo or Terry, they're like, man, we can man up on these little bums. And so they played man coverage on the wide receivers that were available. And so when you know they're going to run man, that means it frees them up, safety or two, you know what I mean, to kind of help out against the run. So they're going to try to bottle up the run. At that point, I watched Jaden pass up a lot of underneath opportunities to get the ball to receivers looking for the bigger play. Nothing pisses me off more watching the Commanders, and nothing has this season more than that. I talked about how I feel like Jaden would be a much more efficient quarterback if he just takes what the defense is giving him sometimes. Take those little dink and dunk opportunities, man, but until you can get into your chunk yardage, because what it does is it pulls those DBs up a little bit closer to make them play fair. And at that point, now you can rely on the receiver getting a break off the line on that defender to possibly get some of that chunk yardage. But neither here nor there, man. Cliff Kingsbury needs to do a better fucking job. You gotta tighten up, bro. I'm tired of tighten up. Shit's annoying, bro. It's annoying to watch. Back to the article. The Commanders' run game also had a few moments of true success, or also had few moments rather of true success. Washington's injuries at wide receiver allowed the Cowboys and their 32nd ranked defense to overcommit to the run, with running back Ja'Cory Cross-Gamera facing several 8-man boxes. They still finished with 136 yards. The majority of them were Jaden. But the running lanes led to little success that they eventually had to abandon because of the deficit. Meanwhile, the Cowboys are rolling on offense, and it started with the opening drive. They moved 66 yards downfield in 5 plays on their opening drive, helped by a 37-yard pass interference penalty from Marshawn Lattimore. Williams finished things off with a 2-yard run to go up 7-0. Marshawn Lattimore is cooked, bro. Marshawn Lattimore is cooked, bro. He's been getting barbecued out there. I'm 48. Marshawn Lattimore couldn't stop me from catching a pass in the offense at this point. There's no way, bro. He's toast, bro. And so my thing is saying that, and again, it's not just to be like I'm picking on Marshawn, bro, but the offenses are picking on him, obviously. Bro, we don't have anybody better on you know what I mean, on the practice squad, on the bench, man, just waiting that can spell Marshawn, bro. Just try him out. We don't lose anything. Marshawn's getting cooked. You may as well throw somebody else in there and let them at least try. And even if they get cooked, it's like, well, same thing would have happened to Marshawn anyway. Develop somebody else, bro. Because Marshawn ain't the answer. It doesn't make sense at this point. And I know you paying this motherfucker a lot of money, bro. Man, y'all gotta put somebody else in there, bro. Marshawn's a liability. It's terrible, bro. Back to the article. Although the Commanders had another tough day defensively with 409 total yards allowed, jeez, they did give their offense chances to swing the momentum in their favor. The best example came after Tress Way pinned the Cowboys at their own 1 yard line when Daron Payne burst into the backfield to take down Williams for safety. That gave the Commanders life, and they took the lead on perhaps their best drive of the day by driving 65 yards on 7 plays. Daniels connected with Moore on a 44-yard pickup, and later with Ertz for the 5-yard score. That part right there, I just kind of want to focus on. Let's remove emotion for just a second. That was their best drive of the day. And that underscores the point that I was making in the episode where I did as kind of a preview, the terrible news episode, where the point that I was trying to make is that, these other guys are professional football players. Wouldn't matter to me if it was Luke McCaffrey. Wouldn't matter to me if it was Jalen Lane. Wouldn't matter to me if it was, I don't know, Ja'Cory Brooks or one of the guys off the bench. Like, it doesn't matter. They're professional football players. And so Chris Moore, stepped in and played very well. At that, so did Robbie Chosen. And so that for that, I was happy and excited to see. It's like, yeah, man, good. But that's what I thought was going to happen. Obviously, we had no choice but to have some guys step up. But to go back to the point of that possession is what I wanted to bring up. Again, to me, to me, man, Jaden Daniels is a very good quarterback who clearly has some growing to do. It's only his second year in the league, but he's a good enough quarterback to at least pass the ball around, and trust his teammates to do their thing. And so if they run the routes, and he passes the ball. And that happened clearly on that opening drive. And then you get these drop passes. We had Zach drop a couple. I digress. It is what it is, man. Back to the article. But the Cowboys were quick to strike back. Brandon Aubrey drilled a 47-yard field goal, and after the first of 4 consecutive drives that ended with a punt or turnover on downs for the Commanders, CeeDee Lamb scored on a 74-yard touchdown to put the Cowboys up 17-8. Aubrey had another field goal, a 61-yarder, to make the score 20-8. There is no way possible that you should be giving CeeDee Lamb that much cushion, bro. You know what I'm saying? There's no way. You get that man that much, you got to bump and run a cat like that, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, make him gallop, especially coming off the bad wheel. Make him gallop to get up to top speed. Let this man run free and clear for 3-4 yards. He's already got speed. A yard is 3 feet. You get this man 3 feet. That's 9 feet to get to get it up. And you backpedaling trying to get the fuck. Come on, bro. Man coverage in those situations, straight up. The Commanders got a much-needed reprieve before halftime when Daniels ran in the 1-yard score to cap off a 68-yard drive. The Commanders were also set to get the ball back to start the second half, providing a chance for them to take the lead. The Cowboys spoiled that with their next drive. Williams' 33-yard run moved the Cowboys to the Commanders' 2-yard line, and Ferguson finished the drive with a touchdown to put Dallas back up by 12 points. I'm just playing back, you know what I mean? Like that, those happenings in my head. It's like, bro, what are you guys doing? You know what I'm saying? We just scored. We got the momentum. Defense. Man, defense, be the defense finally. Be the defense finally, bro. You allow them to move the ball downfield in what seemed like a literal blink to score before the end of the half, bro. And not even held them to 3. Like, at least hold them to 3. At least hold them to 3. Score a touchdown and give up a touchdown inside the last 2 minutes of the game. It's trash, bro. Back to the article. Daniels just fumbled at the start of the third quarter, gave the ball back to Dallas at their own 45-yard line. That's when the Cowboys started to look for the knockout punch. They put together a 9-play drive that ended with Ferguson getting his second touchdown of the day. Then, with Marcus Mariota, now in that quarterback, Deron Bland intercepted a pass on 3rd and 6 and returned it 68 yards for the touchdown. Uncharacteristic for Mariota, man. He's normally, it's been touted in articles that I've read. and just through his history with the Commanders that he doesn't turn the ball over a lot. You know what I mean? So I wasn't shocked. I saw the pick six happen. As soon as he threw it, I was just like, that's a fucking pick six. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is, but it's not indicative of who Marcus is, man. So I'm not too disturbed or concerned about Marcus and what his future holds as we figure out this Jaden Daniels injury. Back to the article. Rodriguez managed to get across the goal line to get the deficit to under 21 points, but all Dallas needed to do was run out the clock and keep the Commanders from gaining any momentum. Washington's last drive ended with a punt after going backwards 2 yards. The next 3 games are not going to get any easier for the Commanders. They have 2 matchups in prime time, including the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. After that, they will play the Seattle Seahawks and Detroit Lions, both of which are vying to remain at the top of the NFC. So yeah, man. So that's you know what I mean. Like I said, man, that's the recap. I feel like I jumped in in the midst of recapping through that Commanders.com report. To share my 2 cents, man. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. So I'm not just beating a dead horse, man. I think I said the things that I really want to say. Anything that I forgot to say is I'm just gonna leave it alone, unless I remember it and I just say it anyway. But let's get into second quarter of the episode, man. Let's talk about the game stats. And man, as you can see, first downs here. Washington had 18 first downs. To Dallas's 21. 8 passing first downs. It says 8 rushing first downs for us to 7 for the Cowboys. 2 first downs from penalties, 3 first downs from penalties for them. Which is annoying. 7 of 16 on third down. That's about 42% or something like that. 6 of 12 for Dallas, about 50%, or is 50%. 0 for 2 on fourth. We ran 64 plays to their 62 plays. 341 total yards of offense to 409. And so, I mean, yeah, Dallas' defense is not very good. And so I had already predicted a shootout, clearly. I said 31-27 in our favor. But I knew that it was going to be a high-scoring game. Both defenses are fucking trash. And, both offenses are decent, offenses. Cowboys being the number 1 offense, but our offense is pretty good regardless of, not having Debo or not having, not having Terry McLaurin. But, it is what it is, man. So total drives 13 for Washington to 12 for the Cowboys. 5.3 yards per play for the Commanders. 6.6 yards per play for the Cowboys. And so, man, yeah, it was those huge chunk plays for the Cowboys, obviously. That bullshit pass interference call. You know what I mean? Like, all that stuff, man, it just helped to kind of set them up. But the chunk plays, you can't give up, man, huge chunk plays like that and expect to then have the defense hold, you know what I mean? Like, against, man, like too many red zone, you know what I mean? With goal line to your back possessions. Doesn't give you a lot of field to make up ground and cover guys, man. So, anyway, back or moving through these game stats. 205 passing yards for the Commanders, 257 for the Cowboys, 16 of 32 passing, or in terms of completions versus attempts, 21 of 30 for Dak, 5.7 yards per pass for the Commanders. I guess that's a combined Jaden and Mariota. 8.3 yards per pass for Dak Prescott. So, man, Dak's looking good, man. 1 interception, obviously. Was that pick 6. 4 sacks for 14 yards lost. 1 sack, for the Cowboys. As we just talk, even that roughing the passer, that roughing the passer, penalty that we got. That's 2 penalties that are just like, I can throw those out, even though that, it don't make much of a difference, but. You know what I'm saying? Like that roughing the passer penalty was bullshit. Dak's helmet got knocked off, bro. But there was no blow to the head that knocked his fucking helmet off. And then he was pulled to the ground. Like this league is crazy soft, bro. It annoys me to watch the game sometimes. 136 rushing yards for the Commanders, 152 for the Cowboys. 28 rush attempts for the Commanders to Cowboys 31. 4.9 yards per rush was equal across the board. Even Steven. Finishing up these game stats here. 3 for 3 in the red zone for us. 3 for 4 for Dallas. 11 penalties for 118 yards, man. Jesus Christ. Dallas, 10 penalties for 79 yards. So, while I think that a few of the penalties were bullshit, it still boils down to the disciplinary factor that I talked about, man. Or just discipline as a focus. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be disciplined enough not to make these crazy ass, you know what I mean? Like, give up these crazy ass penalties, man. It's just, a lot of them are avoidable. You know what I mean? At that. So, it just becomes annoying to watch. So, our 2 turnovers obviously didn't help us. The fumble when Jaden was sacked and hurt his hamstring, and also the Mariota pick 6. Fumble lost, interception thrown. So got that. But yeah, man, we had the ball just under 3 minutes, you know, shorter time, so 2 minutes and some change less than they had possession. But again, those chunk plays make the difference. You know, it's obviously not being able to sustain offensive drives make the difference. They make a huge difference. And so again, like I said, man, a lot of people could be like, well, what did you expect? You know what I mean? We didn't have Terry McLaurin, or we didn't have Deebo Samuel playing. Like, you know what I mean? We got our guys back. You know what I'm saying? Man, they're going to have to, you know what I mean? We're going to be a force. And I'm inclined to agree. You know, however, in lieu of guys not playing, the reality is, man, next man up. You know what I'm saying? Next man up. Next man up. And the same expectations that we put on the star receivers, then we're going to put on the backup receivers. Same expectations. It's going to be the same expectation. When the ball's in your area, man, the ball's in your zone, man, catch it. Ball's near those hands. Ball touches the hands, as they say. Man, you're supposed to catch it. Reel it in. That's it. You know what I mean? So, moving on to the third quarter of the episode, man, I want to talk about the remaining schedule. It's about to get real. It's about to get real, man. The Commanders have a 3-4 record heading into Week 8. So we don't catch a bye until after this Detroit game. But we got the Kansas City Chiefs coming up on Monday night. So we got some time to, you know, actually 1 extra day to get healthy, you know what I mean, to get our guys ready. So hopefully Deebo and Terry will be back for certain to help out Marcus Mariota if Jaden is not able to go with his hamstring. Depending on the severity of the hamstring, I'm expecting Jaden to miss at least 2 weeks, man. So I'm thinking, I'm not a medical professional, it's just my assumption from, you know, seeing these things. Dorrance Armstrong came in with a tweaked hamstring in the game. I think he left and he didn't come back. And so, like, a hamstring's not a thing where you just like, yeah, go try to play on it. It's, you got to give a hamstring, you got to give it its rest. Get some heat on that thing, stretch it out, let it heal. Some heat on it, stretch it out, let it heal. If you've ever had a hamstring injury, you know I'm not fucking lying. You know what I mean? And you know I know what I'm talking about. I've had a hamstring issue in the past as well. So I get it. So anyway, if Mariota's unable to go, or if Jaden's unable to go, then, man, we got Mariota under center on Monday night, which I'm not worried about. Mariota is capable. He's capable. I like Mariota. Clearly, we're 1-1 with Mariota as a starter this season. And so, man, it's going to be whatever it's going to be. But hopefully he has at least the weapons back. But if not, then he gets a whole week to work with the other guys to get them up to speed and get them all comfortable with, you know what I mean, like their timing and all that stuff. But we got Kansas City. I think we're going to lose the Kansas City game. And Kansas City ain't really, the last couple of weeks, Kansas City has looked like Kansas City. But Kansas City, they're not like, they're infallible. You know what I'm saying? They're not like some big juggernaut that we got to be afraid of. Well, they did get Rice back and their other weapons. So I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see. But any given Sunday, anybody can be beat. So I'll just leave it at that. We got the Seahawks coming up after that. And then the Detroit Lions. And so, man, just in these 3 games alone, you know, we were able to beat the Detroit Lions in the playoffs last year in the NFC Championship game, or in the divisional round. So I'm not going to say that the Detroit game is like they're not going to be out for blood. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it's going to be easy one way or the other, but Detroit can be beat as well. And so can Seattle. And so can Kansas City. So everybody can be beat. But now with us playing defense the way we've been playing, being so wishy-washy with these offensive play calls and all that stuff, man. So we got to tighten up a whole bunch, but just kind of laying it out. We get Miami after that. Actually, the bye comes after the Miami week. So we get a bye after the Miami game, which will be the game in Madrid. Again, that's a game that for certain, it's not like, yeah, that's a win right there. It's like any given Sunday, anybody can be beat. However, I will say that's a game we need. We definitely need that game, especially, you know what I mean? Like, if we could do nothing else but split in these next 4 games, 2-2, you know what I mean? Like, that's not like great. Puts us at 5-6, you know what I mean? But it just keeps putting us against the 8 ball, man, where we're behind the 8 ball, where we're going to have to win out down the stretch. You know what I mean? Like, and with the schedule, the way that it plays out, man, it's just going to be tough to do. We get the Denver Broncos in late November, so right after Thanksgiving. And then we get the Minnesota Vikings first week of December. And so, we know that these games are really, really going to be challenging before we get back into the division. And we close out the year with the Giants, the Eagles, the Cowboys, and then the date hasn't been decided yet, but we get Philly again, man. So close out the game with the division. The division's already like close in terms of the standings, so it's going to be a dogfight. It's a dogfight every year, but we're going to need to definitely string together, some victories, and so maybe the MRI results will come back, and Jaden, won't be out for as long as we think, and maybe he even plays this upcoming Monday night. We'll see. Moving on to the fourth quarter topic of discussion, man. And let me just, just hear me out. Let's have a tough talk. So let's have some real conversation too at the same time. While I am a Commanders fan through and through, bro, I've been a fan of this team. I've never been a fan of any other team. I've been a fan of this team since I was a little boy, like literally a child, bro. And for as much as we have struggled as an organization and as a franchise over the years, 30 plus years, man, since we won anything, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's craziness to not have the kind of a franchise, you know what I mean, to get behind and rally behind and support over all these years, to have the kind of franchise that, went through its slump, but then they rebuilt the team properly. It just seems like, from an organizational standpoint, I know it changed ownership, changed hands a few times, but to not have the kind of team that bounces back, like I've been living out here in Arizona now for 13 years almost, you know what I mean? Hanging out with my crew of fellas, man, that I hang out with. We meet up on Sundays, we go to the sports bars, you know what I mean? Or pull up on somebody's couch, man, and we're all just watching the game. And it just really pisses me off, to be honest, bro, that their teams always seem to be in the hunt, always seem to have a competitor, you know what I mean, or a potential contender, every year. But for whatever reason, or for many reasons, you know what I mean, like this Commanders team, man, is not that, has not been that, but that's not to say that we aren't attempting to turn the page. But as it presently stands, we're just not a very good football team. We're not a very good football team. Doesn't mean that we don't have good players, but we're not a very good football team right now, and we definitely need to improve in a lot of different areas. We can only work with the personnel that we have now and then look forward to what are we going to do in free agency, you know what I mean? Like mock draft situations will start coming up. Like what are we going to do with our draft picks? I'm almost afraid to even look to see what the draft pick situation looks like. You know what I mean? If we continue to bomb throughout this season, and then we end up getting, you know what I mean, a high draft pick, like that's cool. What we're talking about, you know what I mean, just a key piece potentially coming in through the draft as a rookie. You know what I mean? No rookie piece is going to save the franchise anymore. I mean, just to like remarkably turn things around any more than Jaden has already stepped into that kind of a role. Man, you have to build a team around phenoms. So even if we get a star defensive player, even if we pull another star offensive player, like you still have to build a team around these guys. You know what I mean? That's an offensive and defensive line. That's a secondary that's solid. And that's, special teams, putting guys in place and in position, you know what I mean, who could play on that side of the football as well, or in those situations as well. Having good kickers, punter, Trustway, incredible. Matt Gay, not so much. And so You know what I'm saying? Like we just haven't been a very good football team. And, for as much as I as a fan can want to, have all these high hopes as I rolled into the season with high hopes, enough high hopes to bet that we will win 10 games this season. Commanders going to cost me $100 because, man, to pull off 7 wins with this remaining schedule that I just run down is going to be very tough. Very tough. There were a couple victories that we squandered, man, that we definitely should have, potentially had, like the Atlanta game, like, you know what I'm saying? Like that Bears game. Yeah, man, we just can't, you can't squander games. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta be able to close out, and this team definitely just hasn't shown that umph. You know what I mean? Just yet, we've played like a bottom tier team to this point. I was saying middle of the road mediocre. Man, we're playing bottom tier. When you let the trash ass Cowboys come into or just come into Sunday, you know what I mean, and just dominate and destroy us the way that they did, it's like, and again, the excuse can be made like, yeah, we were missing our top offensive weapons. But it's like, man, that has nothing to do with the defense. You know what I'm saying? That has nothing to do with the defense. And so anyway, man, like, something drastic needs to happen in terms of especially, our health, and that picture of health turning around. And if not, yeah, the playoff picture is looking very bleak, man. If we can't string together a win, at least 2 wins, I want to see in the next 3 games, I want to see us go at least, man, 2-1. And if we can do that, then our playoff hopes, I think, are alive. But if we go 1-2 or 0-3, man, forget about it. We can cancel Christmas on that, man. So that's just my opinion. Let me know if you have a different opinion in the comments. That's been the basis of this episode. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Like the video. Once again, subscribe to the channel. I will catch you in the next episode. Take care of yourselves until then. Blessings.